How do they claw their way to becoming a Democratic nominee? Things may, believe it or not, have to get a little dirty. Here with us, Alexandra Wilkes. She's senior vice president, for America Rising Corporation, a PAC that does opposition research on Democratic candidates specifically. I mean, Oppo research, as it's known, call it the dirty little secret of politics.
Yeah.
I mean, this happens in both parties. Within parties and across party lines.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, it's not as sort of dark and dangerous as the term might, connote. It's really more about a mundane sort of review of public records. We're looking through research that's publicly available to our researchers in D.C. We're sending out our trackers to film candidates in the field. Our war room is constantly monitoring candidates for what they're saying.
I was just going to say that.
Yearbooks are on our list. And actually it illustrates, the point that not everything is digital in our society today.
That's true.
So our field researchers actually go out there to libraries, to courthouses to make sure that we're covering all of our ground.
One really interesting point that you've made is that in the 2016 election, before Hillary Clinton won the Democratic nomination, aside from second only to the GOP, the bulk of the research and demand on her was from the Sanders camp and supporters of Bernie Sanders. So you have to think about that in the context of what's going on now in the early 2020 contenders for the Democrats.
Absolutely. And so we're sort of supplying all that information out there. Obviously, it's to the benefit of Republican candidates ultimately, but the Democrats sometimes find our information to be quite useful as well. A really good example of this is that recently, through public information requests, we figured out that Joe Biden gave a speech at a Michigan college. He charged a handsome sum for it, about $250,000, $200,000. And in that speech, he praised a Republican Congressman, Fred Upton, and those remarks were used in ads supporting Upton. So Democrats on the ground there are not too happy with that as he looks to run for president.
You could also point to that as a sign of bipartisanship.
Well, sure. Well, within the Democratic primary right now, it's not playing as I think the vice president would hope.